Welcome back. Today we are going to be adding some spikes to kind of hold our poop roll in place. So we've got one inside the mouth here. You can kind of see right there. And if we hide the dog head, you can see we've added a spike right here. And that's just going to be like a spindle that kind of holds our roll in place. So let's go ahead and jump in and start designing it. So first, let's just open our last version, and then let's go ahead and save as, and this can be draft 10. All right, and let's go ahead and get started. So first thing, let's go ahead and bring back our bolt base right here, and we're going to put a spike on the bottom of this base. So let's just go ahead and hide our dog head here. We can just hit H, and we're going to put it on this piece right here. So let's go ahead and go into edit mode, and we want to put it right in the center, but I don't know exactly where the center is. So I'm just going to go into face mode, select that face, and then do Shift S and put the cursor to select it. And it's going to go into the middle of the selected circle. And now we can go back to object mode, and we're going to create a spike right here. So we can do that inside the nut and bolt collection because we want it to go with our base here. So we're going to do Shift A in object mode, and let's add a cylinder. But the question is, how big do we make this spike so it can actually fit on our little spindle? So I'm going to switch over to video mode, and we're going to measure the poop roll real quick. All right, so now we've got our poop roll here, and we're just going to measure this inner space here. Oh, that's cool. So we've got our handy dandy calipers, but this time we're going to use the back end here, the back of the head there, and just get the inside of that, which is looking about 5, 6, 7.5-ish. So we'll do 7.5. That sounds good. And so let's go ahead and jump back into Blender and make some spikes. Yeah. Whoosh. All right, so now we're back in Blender, and we're going to do 7.5 for the diameter, but we need the radius. So we're just going to type in the diameter, 7.5, divided by 2, and that will give us the radius. But don't hit enter. We want to just click down to the depth, and then the depth, we can do, just kind of something kind of tall, maybe like 20 millimeters, and that should get us there. And you can put that any height you prefer, but I'm just going to do 20. And that's looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and confirm that, and let's rename it. Let's call it like spike, maybe the bottom spike. So just spike bottom, and we can hit G and Z and just bring it up. We do want it to go into our base just a little bit. You can go right on top of it, but I like to give it just a little bit of, something to kind of grab onto. So that's just personal preference. So looking at this now, we know that the base of our diameter here is going to fit just snugly inside of our roll. So what we can do is take this into edit mode. So just tab into edit mode, grab the top face here, and just shrink it down a little bit. And I have it set to 3D cursor, but let's actually put it back to active element. Another quick way you can do that is just period, not on the numpad, and that will give you a pivot point pie chart. So that's pretty clever and cool too. So just active element, and we're going to scale that down just a little bit. We don't want it too thin because then it could break when it's 3D printing. So, as long as it's thinner than the original starting point, it's just a little smaller, that should be good. So that's going to fit really nicely with our spindle. And now all we need to do is go back into object mode and duplicate this and spin it around, and that will be our top spindle for up here. So let's go ahead and save. So we can do Shift D, and that will duplicate it here. We'll just hit Z to lock it to the Z axis, bring it on up here, and then let's rename it, call it spike top. And we can just hit R to rotate on the X, so just tap X and then do 180 and just flip that bad boy around. Looky here, we've got 2 spindles, super easy, super quick. Let's turn our dog head back on, go into side view with 3, and let's go into X-ray mode or wireframe and kind of take a look here. So we do want this spike, pretty close, just like the other one, just somewhere in here. So that's pretty good. And then now what we can do is go into edit mode, grab that top face there, and just hit E to extrude. And one thing, we know that there's about 1 millimeter of thickness right here from our solidify modifier. So we just want that edge to kind of be in the middle of that. And that way we can Boolean or add them together. So let's just hit G and Z and just kind of lock it in there. And then I'm just going to rotate it and then grab it and just move it in there. Maybe even scale it a little bit, make it a little wider, just so we have a little bit more grip. You know, it's a little stronger. It's not going to break as easy. If this is wiggling around or you're pulling, you know, a bag out, you want it to be a little stronger, maybe even a little bit more. Maybe not too crazy, but, you know, just something to give us some grip. And the key here is to not go, you know, you don't want to go past it. We just want to be right in as much in the middle as we can of this. So maybe if we go Alt-Z or maybe just, you know, something like this. So we're in solid view with X-ray on, and you can see kind of the thickness of that layer there. And so now with that, we can go into object mode, click on the top spike here, click on the dog head with shift click, and then do Control plus and try and add those together. Sometimes it can work, sometimes it could get a little tricky. So that one worked pretty well. You may, you know, have to rearrange the modifiers sometimes. Sometimes the mirror modifier can be a little tricky to Boolean to, but looks like we got it. You could also just grab this wireframe and just nudge it around if you're not getting a nice Boolean there. So I'm going to turn our X-ray off, and looky there, we've got a spike on the top connected to the head, but now we need to connect our bottom spike to our base here. So let's just hide the dog head, just hit H, and now we can click on the bottom spike. Make sure that yours is, you know, kind of tucked into the base a little bit. Shift click on the base and then do, you guessed it, Control plus, and looky there, we've got a spike. Easy as that. So go ahead and save if you made it this far. Well done. We can even parent these. You know, we still have these selected, so from the Boolean, so we can do Control P and set the parent there. We can also take the spike top and parent it to the dog head. So let's turn our dog head back on. You could click here and just shift click and drag that to the dog head. And now notice that the spike top is parented to the dog head, but it's kind of like grayed out a little bit. That's because it lives, you know, the actual lives in the nut and bolt collection. So that's just kind of how Blender's kind of sharing it. You know, it's here, but it's actually located here, the file. So to fix that, you can just, you know, drag that into the same collection, or just drag it out of the nut and bolt collection into your flexible design. And now you can see it's kind of, you know, more, it's not as grayed out and it's no longer here. So that's just a little parenting trick. But all I really wanted you to do for this lesson is just make you a little top spike, you know, to hold that spindle in there, and also the bottom one there. So good job. Let's go ahead and save, and we can bring back our dog. And next lesson, we're going to just kind of analyze our dog shape and our mesh and make sure that it's 3D printable and that we're not breaking any 45-degree rules. Just looking at this now, I can tell we may have a little issue here. So we're just going to fix and adjust our final mesh before we go even deeper into this product design. So let's go ahead and dive on in it.